While there are some sort of awkward moments which continue between the United States and its traditional allies of Europe, we've had a smoother run, Australia, US, in terms of the alliance, and that's continued this week, both with the AUSMIN meeting in Washington between Minister Wong and Deputy Prime Minister Miles and their US counterparts.
That's completely right. I couldn't agree more. I think in many ways the bilateral relationship couldn't be better in many ways. You can look at from economically, I think no country got a better deal on the tariffs than Australia. You can look at decades of the intelligence partnership with the United States, the security alliance, the fact that Americans really appreciate the fact that Australians have fought alongside Americans in every war of the last century. In my perspective is the bilateral is so good that it's more important than ever to shift to the region. And I think if you look at the sort of readouts of what they agreed to in this week's AUSMIN meetings between US and Australian counterparts, they are shifting to the region. They are shifting to prioritizing the Pacific Islands in Southeast Asia and basically helping Australia operationalize that balance of power strategy I was talking about, basically trying to deter revisionist powers, in this case, China, from completely changing the status quo. And those sorts of agreements, they may be boring, talking about logistics and talking about maintenance facilities, but that actually is really important because it allows different militaries, allied militaries, to work together to deter revisionist powers in the region.
Jared, the other thing I want to ask you about is that speech. He's back on the campaign, well, on the trail, not a campaign trail yet, ahead of the midterms, but certainly he was on the trail. He's in Pennsylvania, talking affordability and the economy. He's been taking on a bit of water when it comes to the polling around that.
He really has. I mean, you only have to look at his polling from his first term to now to see the difference. A majority of Republicans in particular, but also a sizable number of Americans thought that he was better for the economy than the Democratic alternative. And now it seems like he is significantly underwater, not only amongst Americans on the whole, but also amongst Republicans. In America, it's very partisan, and a lot of people, their views of how America is faring really depends on whether they like the president or they don't. So Democrats on the whole, when a Republican is in office, say that the economy is not great, and vice versa. So Republicans will say when a Democrat is in office in the White House that the economy is not great. But what I find interesting is if you actually ask them about their own issues, ask them about affordability of their own groceries and their own bills. And that's where you see a lot of bipartisan consensus that Americans agree things are too expensive. It doesn't matter if you're Democratic or Republican. Both of them are overwhelmingly negative on the state of affordability in America. And I think Donald Trump is doing everything he can to take that on. But as a president, it's not really easy to do much to do that. You can make it more expensive, perhaps, with tariffs, but it's hard to make things cheaper and easier in the short run.
Indeed, it is. And we're seeing a few challenges on that front at home as well. Jared Mondschein from the US Studies Centre, great to chat.